Morning, morning. Just wait. I think we'll just give it a minute or so as people are entering the waiting room. We'll let them in. As always, you can have camera on or off, whatever you feel comfortable with. And if you want to introduce yourself, you can do in the chat. If you just let me know where you're tuning in from, that'd be great. Right. Suzanne, does that feel like the waiting room?
Yeah, well, the waiting room's empty, so
Okey
I think
doke.
you're
All
all
right.
good
We
to go.
sometimes get some late.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye.
Fine. Yeah, thank you. So we don't have Yvonne with us today. We have Suzanne. And I can be having a look in the chat. Suzanne's going to be on the chat as well. Yeah, let's make a start. So if you haven't come to one of these before, my name is Beth. I'm the Digital Comms Manager here at Homestart UK. So this is an open forum. It is where you can just come and have a chat really about social media. We've had some really good discussions in the past two sessions that we've had. Come and bring your questions. I really just kind of open the floor to you, start off with a question, and then it's quite nice when people share their experiences. So yeah, that is the premise of the session. And then in the last 10 minutes today, I'd like to speak about what you would like to do going forward, because I'm not sure what you know about these, but we set them up as sort of January to March to just, because it's something new, to just give it a go to see, is it something that people want? Are people going to attend? All that sort of stuff. So yeah, at the last sort of 10 minutes or so, I'd like to start a conversation just about what you would like going forward. So I think that's everything to get us started. Like I say, please do use the chat. You can introduce yourself. And if you don't want to unmute yourself, you can pop your question in the chat. So Suzanne, if you just could be looking out for those and point me in the right direction, that'd be great. So yeah, the floor is open for you. Does anyone have a question and you want to start us off? Either unmute or pop it in the chat. No one ever wants to go first, but if you're feeling brave, take yourself off mute to ask a question and get the discussion started. Layla, oh, you came off mute. Were you? If you're talking, I can't hear you. Yeah, I still can't hear you, Layla. Sorry. Maybe pop your question. Oh, and Suzanne can't unmute. Have we got something? Is there anything in the audio? Oh, yeah, it did happen last time, Layla. I don't think there's anything on there. I think I can unmute you.
I was just seeing if I could unmute.
Yeah, it said ask
Yeah,
to unmute. So
yeah,
let
let's try
me
that.
see. I'll try that and see. Sue, did that do anything for you? Is anyone else having this issue? We've not had this before, that you've not been able to unmute.
Should I mute everybody and then unmute? Let's try that. If I mute everybody and then
Is that work?
Karen's been able, yeah, Karen's been able to.
It didn't unmute there a minute ago though. It wouldn't come off.
Oh,
Don't know.
okay. That hasn't happened. Now it keeps muting me.
oh, sorry, sorry, that was me trying to mute and then I was going to try and unmute everybody, but that's not working either.
Yeah, I've just got ask to unmute as an option, which I did do for Sue. So I'm not actually sure how to fix that. But Karen was able to come off mute, so I'm not sure. Let me just double check audio settings. I think that's just
Yeah.
my audio rather than. Oh no, this is what happens when Yvonne's not here.
I know. I'll ask Yvonne.
We never
I'll a-
use Zoom is the thing. We're always on Teams. Oh, Sue, I can see that you've
Oh,
unmuted.
there's at the bottom of my screen on the left, not the three dots normally, there's an unmute option. So
Ah.
that might be the thing.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Over to you, Sue. And then Layla, you put your question in the chat, so I will come back to you.
It's just a current thing that's a real problem for us. And I've seen on the internet that there's also other home starts experiencing it. And that's been Facebook, Meta taking us away. Took us down just before Christmas. And it's killing us. It's a big year for us. And it's our primary source of contact outside emails. I've gone through all the processes that Meta make you go through. I even managed to get hold of a real human being and had a very long conversation. He was very patient with me and said that AI just takes it down for whatever reason, and then it has to go into a human forum. But we're now 4 months into it, and I have a regular generated email every other day. I pursue and I get answers, and I've now got individual names saying, yes, we're personally requesting this, but nothing's happening. We're powerless. I did think about starting the page again, and I made the mistake of mentioning it, and they said absolutely not, because you yourself as running your page can be taken away. And I really just think it's got to go to Homestart UK to lobby, because we're not the only Homestart this has happened to. And it's absolutely flooring us, because that's my primary source of communication.
Yeah, so I totally understand the frustration. I did try to kind of get through to Meta. I posted that in the forum. I know some people have posted more recently, so I need to come back to people today to just sort of give an update, really. So I'll just tell you everything that's kind of happened on our side. So yeah, I went through the Meta support, and then I was able to talk to a human being as well, which I was really surprised about, if I'm honest. I don't really know what I did to be able to kind of cut through, but I was able to talk to a person, and yeah, just like you, who's very helpful. But basically, from our side, because it is so separate, they don't see me as like connected to the wider Homestart network. Like, they can see that obviously I'm an admin of Homestart UK, but to them that's just, you're an admin of that page and that page only. So it's like they wouldn't allow me to kind of go any further. Like, my case has been closed, unfortunately. But it was, I mean, I get it, it's their privacy policy. Like, I could be anyone, I could be impersonating you and all that sort of stuff. So I understand, obviously, that's the policy and that's where it's come from. So I think the kind of only, I guess, well, in my mind, the kind of only logical thing, and this is, to be fair, what they said as well, is that if I became admin of the pages, then I would be able to like then raise another case and then it go through me again, just like as I was trying to originally in the first place. I mean, that doesn't obviously stop it happening again to anyone else. Just because I've been made an admin, like, doesn't magically sort of mean that, it's not gonna happen. But I would be able to like fight your corner, because at the moment, unfortunately, I can't do that because I'm not an admin. We tried it with Homestart Lawn to add me as an admin, but because their page had been, I always forget which one it is, like suspended or something else. They couldn't add me as an admin, like it just didn't work.
Absolutely. I don't think I can. We're
So
suspended. I think it would be
yeah,
useful to know why, because even the human beings say, well, I don't think you've done anything. Of course, we haven't done anything. But I think there's
yeah.
some kind of AI which is thinking we're impersonating each other. I don't know. Nobody really can know. And they obviously are hamstrung in terms of what they can admit. I did sort of go all threatening and legally I can't, obviously wouldn't, and don't have those means, but I they did recommend it. I wrote a case to Dublin, but I
Mhm.
needed to make it a legal letter, but I'm just going to write to the address and see where I get with that. Otherwise, I think I'm going to have to start again, but I do run the risk of then personally losing my account if they deem that whatever I've done wrong, and I think is I don't know what that is. So if it's an inadvertent something, I ought to know.
Yeah, I mean, they never really give a reason, do they? It's quite
No, they're not
vague.
allowed to.
And when I did speak to the person, they just said the same thing that you've said, that the kind of like AI is just sort of like, trailing through them. What I would say, and I don't know if this like got me on a call with someone or not, but I attached like the legal agreement, and this was on behalf of Lorne at the time, and I don't know if that got me on the phone with them. I can speculate, but I think that's the only sort of thing that we've got, the legal thing that is upstanding. Like, it's a legal document to say that sort of the Homestart brand and its like logo, colors, etc. is being like used between like us and you. Did you
I mean, I did get through to human because of my shouting, my perpetual shouting, but I don't have that legal agreement. But they've already said we'll go legal, but that's a lawyer, and that's something that we can't afford to do. And I, couldn't pursue that. But I would, a copy of where I can find that as a Homestart Winchester who is allowed to use your brand assets. But that's guessing what the problem is, isn't it? I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what we've done. I'm just guessing it's that, but I don't know.
Yeah, when
Hey, guys, sorry to
Karen,
interrupt.
go for it.
I can't raise my hand. I can't find the
Oh,
thing.
go, no, sorry.
But so ours was taken down in the autumn, and we had your same problem, and it was really difficult. And the connection through our committee knew a local guy, techie guy, that took it on. Now, he, in his experience, had helped, like actual, not non-for-profit companies, actual commercial companies, to take on Meta through the courts. And he took pity on us, and he did it for nothing. And whatever way he was able to do it, he was able to get permissions to use the page and become an admin, even though we were suspended. And he did get it restored. Now, look, he did speak to people. I don't know how he did it, but I could try and find his contact for you, Sue, and get it across. But they
Karen,
did.
that would be so kind. That would be so kind, because if he can replicate what he did, that would be brilliant. But
they did tell us what it was. It was a family group post, and originally we thought it was like a product placement type thing, but they said no, it's because you didn't put ad on it. Somebody had donated, I don't know if it was books or if it was some sort of resource to us, and that's what they took it down for. It wasn't the impersonation thing, it was that we didn't declare that it wasn't an ad for this particular product.
wow.
But Sue, sorry, where are you? What's the
Winchester. Winchester. So I can, it's the normal email, and it's just Sue.Thomas. Karen, that would be really helpful. I'm clutching at straws.
I'll see what I can do. I don't know. As I said, he was local, and I think he just took pity on us because I think his fee's quite high. But if we could find out what he did, that would
be brilliant. Even if it's
Yeah.
going back to all the posts I've ever made and putting an ad on them.
So completely random, because we couldn't have done anything.
No.
All right, okay, we'll do.
Thank you, Karen. Sorry to hijack that conversation. It's just so important to us. We've only got Insta, and that's not quite the same means.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand, and I want to say, like, I totally understand everyone's frustration. It's frustrating for me because I wish that I could do more, but without being like an admin of the page, I actually, they're not allowing me to do anything.
Well, I'd very much welcome to be able to let you, but I don't think I can, but I will try, Beth.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm thinking is it might be helpful then to put out some guidance of how to add someone as an admin, and maybe as just a kind of backup, I don't know, some kind of preventative, I suppose is the word, measure, that I could be an admin of people's pages. And then if this is to happen, then I can, do more. I mean, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't say that you know, that's not to say that just because I'm an admin, it won't happen to other people. So I am worried, like I'm worried that kind of just once it's picked up one, is it going to just kind of get everyone? And obviously we really don't want that to happen. So yeah, I think that's the best like preventative measure. Kirk Lee's had the same issue. I don't think there's anyone on here today. Oh, Amy's here.
Hello.
Did you say, Amy, about the MP that's involved?
Yes, so he is still fighting in our corner. He's probably more persistent than I was. I'm quite impressed with him, really. And so yes, he's continually chasing it through Parliament with his, well, I say through Parliament, you know what I mean, through his contacts. But again, we've been facing exactly the same thing in terms of because we're connected, but the pages aren't in terms of the admins. They won't, like I've sent them a big list of all the pages that I'm aware of that's been taken down, all the numbers. And effectively what they've said is because I'm not involved in the pages, they can't look at them as a collective, which seems a bit ridiculous. But I don't know if there's some way we could get all the admins together, at least in a contact, and say, hey, every single admin is here, we're all present. Now can you deal with these pages together? I don't know if that's something that would work. I'm not sure. It's all you can't quite work out whether you're speaking to an actual person or not half of the time, can you? Sometimes it sounds normal and then they'll say something that totally misses what you've put out there. But so we did eventually give up on ours. Ours got took down last year, and we've set a new one up. And I shouldn't say this out loud, but touch wood, there's been no problems in terms of, you know, getting that taken off again. Although I don't want to eat my hat with that one, but as far as, you know, so far so good. And I think it's probably been there for, where are we now, March? It would have been 5 or 6 months that it's been up there. But we have added a local social media company as an admin for this exact reason, so that they can help us as well. But it's probably worth us putting you on there as well, Beth.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I'm happy to be admin on people's pages again, just to try to help things along. And I guess because I'm admin of Homestart UK, I guess that would maybe just help with the whole explaining we're a federated charity, Homestart UK, you know, and being able to share those agreements. Like I said, Sue, I didn't actually, just coming back to that, it should be on Charity Log for you. You should
Okay,
be
I'll
able
look
to
it
see
up.
your agreement. I think there's two. There's like a brand agreement, and then I can't remember what the other one is called. But it should be on there. I know someone found the Homestart Lawn ones
Okay.
for me, so hopefully it's obvious when you go in there.
Thank you.
Amy, thank you for that update, and thank you for persisting. It's really great that you've got someone on board that is helping us. But again, yeah, it's that issue of, because you're not the admin of those pages. So what would be most helpful, I think, to kind of get everyone, I don't know, do we need like a group email perhaps, or something like that? Just so that then we do have the contacts of people. Okay. I'm just thinking, how's the best way to, maybe, because the thread is getting quite long on the intranet. I wonder if we just start a new one and you just put your email address on there and your case number. If you've got that, that'd be really helpful. If you've got that anywhere, or several case numbers if you've had to keep opening cases, yeah, that would be super helpful. So I will take that as an action. But yeah, I think really that's my update. That's what we're trying. So do know that we are trying. You know, you're not shouting into the void. We know about it. I'm trying my best to get to the bottom of it really. But so maybe this week I can put out the instructions on adding an admin, and then I'll just put something out about that being like making it clear that that is like a preventative measure. I kind of can't stop it from happening, but I can help you if it does happen. I mean, hopefully it doesn't keep happening to people, but if it is to happen, then I would be able to help. And then yeah, if we get the emails and the case numbers together, and then Amy's MP could perhaps help us. I mean, it's worth a shot, I think, that would be great. I mean, I know this person's probably not going to want to help, 100 odd home stars, but yeah, even if we just get a bit of an idea of what they did, even that'd just be really helpful. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, Emma, thank you. It is very frustrating. It is one of those where it just sort of feels like we're a bit stuck, but we're just trying what we can. That's all we can do. But yeah, do know that we know about it. We are trying. Yeah. Okay. I'll
Thing I will just say on that is in setting up the new page, it actually did us quite a few favors, because although we did lose a large audience, it also gave us a good reason to make quite a lot of noise, and lots of people were sharing, and actually the audience that we've got now are a lot more engaged with our content and what we're doing on a smaller audience than when we had thousands and thousands on there. So there are a little silver linings in there as well.
Yeah, thank you for that, Amy. It's that quality over quantity is something that I speak about quite a lot. If you've got 5,000 followers, but they're not really interacting with your stuff, if they're not really engaged, then it's kind of not really worth having, But if you've got 200 followers, but they're like really engaged, they're sharing your stuff, they're commenting, that's really what you want. And I think that's what we call like sort of vanity metrics, is that we can get sort of caught up in how many likes we've got or how many followers we've got. But actually, if the followers that you do have are engaging, and they're the people they're your advocates, they're your people who are sharing it on social, but also could be like word of mouth, sharing it with other people as well. That's the kind of audience that you want. Oh, Sylvia's got a question. If whoever set up a new page, could you go back on the chat? That would be helpful. And I'm going to come back to Layla's question. So it's around stats. What do you tend to report on? What stats do you find helpful? So, I mean, I suppose everyone might be reporting on different things. You might have a board who want to see certain things. My stats get sent to SLT, so it just kind of depends what they want to see. I'd come back always to engagement, because it's great to kind of know, oh, we gained some followers, and we had this many likes and comments. That the likes and the comments, although that is what I've just said, like a vanity metric, that shows you what engagement you're getting. That shows you if people are sharing it, commenting, if they're engaging in in the reaction, it's called, isn't it? All the different reactions that you can have. That to me like shows me that what I'm doing is working well. So I would try to focus on that and see if, I don't know, say you've been running a bit of a campaign, you've got, a summer fair coming up and you're like promoting it, you're on that kind of marketing element of the campaign. Just see kind of what is happening during that time. It's really good to kind of have separate, well, you could have it on the same thing, but maybe like make it clear of when you do have a campaign running, say like it's Christmas or something like that, like how many followers are you gaining, what interaction are you having on that. I would keep those, like I say, either separate or have them highlighted in some way. And what I would say is that it's helpful as well. Well, this is what I find, I'm just sharing what I find helpful, but within your stats is to think about what other comms you're doing as well. Because I think, again, like we can get caught up in thinking like, oh yeah, it's all about Facebook, but have you sent out an email newsletter, for example, that was, it had your Christmas appeal on it. Let's use that as an example. Is that kind of driving people to your Facebook as well? Is there any connection there? And it could just be that you've just put email sent, and put the date. You don't kind of have to put in loads of detail, but I think it's good to know how things are working together, because Facebook, isn't, well, it's standalone in the sense of it stands alone, but it should be working with your other stuff. So again, like if you've got an event or if you've been to an event, say you go to, I don't know, like a volunteering fair or something like that, and you have a stall, I would note that down as well within whatever program you're using. If you're using Excel or anything, it doesn't have to even be you know, something jazzy, just like an Excel does the job, or a Google Sheet or whatever. Yeah, I would put, you know, when you've got those other things happening, and just see, is there that bit of a ripple effect? You know, after the event, are you gaining, you know, a few followers? Are people interacting with your stuff? Because yeah, I think that just gives you a bigger picture. I mean, you can really go into kind of reach and different things like that with your stats, but I always just say to people, it's what you've A, got time to do, and B, like what you think is useful. Like, if you're really trying to grow your page, and so if followers are important to you, then obviously you can be reporting on that. If sort of growing your audience, like nurturing your audience, kind of growing a community, if that's really important to you, then your interactions will be really important to you. So it's just thinking about, okay, what is important to us? What do we actually want to get from our Facebook page? And then thinking about, I think that bigger picture is important as well. Like I say, you can just know, oh, on this date we went to this event. It doesn't have to be like an elaborate thing. But yeah, I would think about sort of your bigger picture. Can you note down the other things that you're doing? And then, yeah, just focus on those things that mean something to you. Or it might be that, you know, your board want to see X, Y, Z, and then you do have to report on those things. But just think about, in your team, what's important to you for your Facebook page. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to gain followers? Are you trying to build a community? Yeah, so have a think about that and then go from there, really. But I always say to people, just keep it simple. Like, you can get really caught up in, there's a lot on sort of Meta Business Suite, there's a lot to look at. So yeah, I would kind of pick your thing and then just sort of try to stay in that lane of they're the things that we want to focus on, because, you know, like I say, there is a lot that you can look at, whereas I know people don't have a lot of time and things like that. So just kind of decide what you're going to focus on, and then just stick with those and see how it goes. And then I would say, like, it's kind of, I guess it's, what are you doing with that data as well? Like, what is that telling you, and how is that gonna, you know, take you forward? So say, for example, you want to build a community, so you're looking mainly at engagement. So you're looking at, you know, reactions, comments, and shares, for example. And so, you know, you've done some posts, oh, this one, not so much, people weren't so engaged. This one, oh yeah, we had, you know, blah, 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 however many comments, etc. What can you do with that information? So that's telling you something about that post. That's telling you, oh, our audience really engaged with that. So what was it about that? Did you ask a question, and then that like got people thinking about like commenting in the comments? Or was it the particular subject? You know, was it sort of a really nice, positive, like affirmation style post that people were like, oh, I love this, that kind of thing? You know, what was it? And then how can you like replicate that? Could that become like a weekly post that you do? Or, you know, is there something that you can take that and make it into something else? So I don't know, say it's a video, can you then make it into just a post or a carousel post? You know, what is it about that post that people are interacting with, and how can you replicate that over time and kind of keep that consistency going? So yeah, I would say think about what you want, report on those stats, but then it's, you know, don't just let those stats just sort of sit there. You know, it's like, what are you doing with those kind of every sort of quarter? Are you having a look? Are you thinking, right, okay, what performed well last quarter? Oh, it was this, this, and this. Can I take elements of that? Can I just like repurpose it? I mean, again, like, we can overthink it and think that we have to put new stuff out all the time, but if something's performed really well, can you literally just, I don't know, change the color of it, or, you know, tweak it in some way, or just even change the copy and repost it? So yeah, just think about that data, how you're going to use it to kind of push yourself forward. And then that does help with content. Like I say, kind of repurposing stuff. You don't always have to be thinking outside the box. You know, if something's performed well, then kind of keep using that, or keep using that kind of formula of that post. So hopefully that was, oh yeah, thank you, Layla. Okay, I'll just double check the chat. I don't think I've had any more questions in the chat. Yeah, back to the floor. Has anyone got a question, or has anyone got anything to share that's worked really well? Normally everyone's dead chatty, and I'm
There is another question just come in
okay.
from Sylvia.
Okay, because we had to give up on Facebook, we are now using Instagram, which seems to be working well, and X, but don't seem to get much of X. Curious to know what other people's experience is about what works and what doesn't. So yeah, over to the floor, and then I'll kind of come in at the end. Do people have more than one social media channel? How do you find that? Do you find that one is, gets more engagement than the other, or is it that it's kind of growing and that takes time? Sue?
We use Insta as our only default. We don't use X because it's a hateful platform. Personally, I can't bear it, so I don't really want to interact with the stuff that's on there. But actually, increasingly, because we haven't been able to use Facebook, emails are great. They're really warm, and if we don't go mad, we can increase them and get a really significant, 50 plus open rate, which is great. And we find that feels personal again. It used to be flooding, and I think because emails have become less popular because they're so spammy, that if you do have a warm audience you speak sense to, they do engage. So we've been thankful for that. Otherwise it's just Instagram, but you can't really have those conversations. You just kind of shout and show on Instagram.
Thank you, Sue. Anyone else got any insights on kind of what they use, what works well? And Amy's, Karen?
Sorry, complete show off. It's the Facebook. I'm so sorry since everybody doesn't get it, but that's our
okay.
demographic. The folks that we're targeting for volunteering specifically, volunteer recruitment specifically, tend to be Facebook users. We have Instagram, and our Facebook pages are just repeated on Instagram, but the interaction comes through Instagram. We did a volunteer who was looking after TikTok for us, and we're just not down with the kids. Like, it's just not, they don't need us, they don't want us, and that's okay. But it's good to raise visibility. So yeah, unfortunately, it's Facebook that works for us. A bit like Sue, we're not going near X.
Yeah, Amy added to the question as well. Is anyone using LinkedIn much?
I use it because I work full time and I have a marketing business, which is my role at Homestart Winchester. So I've made a page for Homestart, but like LinkedIn isn't really that great for businesses. They really want people who represent what they do and to be human about it. So I tend to just share stuff for Homestart as my role as trustee. The actual business page isn't that effective, but it is if I comment or share my views on what's been going on, like I'm not involved. Seems to work.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been saying on the last kind of couple of these, so apologies if you've been before and I'm repeating myself, but yeah, you're right, Sue. LinkedIn doesn't, I mean, it can work for businesses, but I think, yeah, it's more about that human element. And what I've been encouraging people to do is use their own, either your personal LinkedIn or create a new one that is for like business use, and see it as your kind of networking tool, if that's the right kind of phrase to use, because yeah, people want to kind of connect with that human element. And if people on LinkedIn, like companies, local organizations, or people from those local organizations, they want to connect with you, so that, if you're the person that you're gonna kind of be dealing with them, yeah, they want to connect with you. And you can just be sharing what your Homestart are doing. You can ask direct questions. I think that's quite nice to just like openly ask for either like, oh, we've got a summer fair coming up and we need some donations. Is there anyone out there? That kind of thing. That seems to work really well, because businesses and local organizations will be looking for that kind of thing. They tend to have like a quota now for kind of like social enterprise, that kind of thing, doing good and kind of supporting charities and things like that. So yeah, you just never know like who's going to see that. So I just think it's always worth a shot. And if you have it on your profile that you know that you work for Homestart, insert name, then you know it's clear who you are. I mean, if you're kind of wanting to start your LinkedIn, I know so many people kind of they're like, oh yeah, I've got LinkedIn, but I don't really use it. And so this could be like your opportunity to just kind of kickstart it. And you could do like an introduction post for like your first kind of start for 10 to just say like where you work and what you do. And I would say just keep using those calls to action, you know, to send people to your website to find out more about what you're doing. That will just help kind of elevate your posts. I know I talk about those all the time as well, but adding a call to action really just, yeah, it does elevate your posts and it keeps people engaged with you. So, you know, it's forcing them obviously to leave the platform, but it's meaning that they're still engaging with the Homestart brand by obviously going onto your website and seeing a bit more about what you're about. And obviously, it's really good for kind of jobs and volunteer roles. I would get those on LinkedIn as well. And I guess I'm always thinking of like ways to save you time because I know that like time is of the essence. You don't have a load of time and not everyone has someone managing social media for you. But if you are already posting on Facebook about like what I've just said, like a volunteer role or a job, copy and paste it across, you know, like let's not overthink it. And you can schedule in app as well. You can schedule on LinkedIn using there's like a little clock that comes up when you're posting. So that's again another great tool. If you've got 5 minutes and you just think, right, I'm going to schedule just 2 posts on LinkedIn. I'm going to ask for a volunteer and I'm going to ask, I don't know, for donations for a raffle or something. Yeah, you can get on there and schedule them, and then you've got, you know, 2 posts going out that week. So yeah, just think about your content and how you can repurpose it for the different channels. It might be, you know, maybe tweak the message a little bit for LinkedIn just so that it's not exactly the same, or I tend to try to remember the wording of like, I don't know, say if it's like, if you're asking a question about like volunteers, like could you be our next, you know, insert volunteering role, I might change that to something like, could you or your organization volunteer for us or something like that, and kind of just tweak it slightly to be for that audience, just thinking about organizations and people of organizations will be on there. Because again, volunteering is a great way, like corporate volunteering is a great way to get people involved, but it's just that slight tweak of message, just saying like, could you or your organization get involved? Yeah, is there anything else from anyone about what kind of works for them? I know there's a little discussion about X and not being on that. That is something that's going to SLT this week, of whether we like want to decide to stay on it or not as Homestart UK. Obviously, there's pros and cons, isn't there? I mean, if I kind of feel like with X, it is good for reaching people in terms of like tagging people, like for us, for example, kind of tagging MPs and kind of journalists, and that works well. But I'm with you, Sylvia. It's like we're not getting engagement really on X. It's not. I guess it's not really that platform for getting engagement. You know, it's not like you're kind of, you know, on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're sort of scrolling and you might like it and things like that. It's not really that kind of app. You're not kind of on there wanting to particularly sort of like anything or engage. So I would say, yeah, it's not really the platform for that. So if you do want to stick with it, I wouldn't be sort of discouraged that you're not getting the kind of engagement in the sense of likes, etc.
It's just that at the moment it seems like, I mean, I'm really short of time, right? So what I'm doing is just copying and pasting, as you said, but actually, I don't know, it seems like a waste of time rather than anything else because I don't get anything out of there. So I'm actually wondering whether it's worth keeping it or not, but just wanted to hear what everyone else's experience was.
Yeah, it's I think it's a fair comment, and I mean, is there a right or wrong? I don't know. I mean, if you're getting literally nothing from it and you're just not having any conversations at all, I'd say it's not worth your time. Um, I would say when thinking about like obviously copying and pasting your messages across is like helpful for time wise, but just do try and tweak it just so that it is different. If people are following you on multiple, like they don't want to just see the same. But yeah, I would say at the end of the day, like if it isn't working for you, like don't feel like you've got to be on there. Don't feel like you've got to spend the time on there. I feel like I say, we've only kind of clung on to X just because of that, like ability to kind of speak more directly and like more of a campaigning sort of angle for us. But I don't know what the decision is going to be at the moment, but I understand, why people are coming off it. Anyone else got any comments about what's working well for them if you have multiple accounts? People are normally really chatty on these calls. I'm like, is everyone okay? Who's got another question? Here we go, Julia. We have always just posted to Facebook and Insta, but are trying to add some stories too. Any tips on the best things to add in this way? So stories are really great to just keep people engaged, because obviously with things like Instagram and Facebook, it's like, are people actually seeing your posts is a thing. Is it like only 10% of your audiences are seeing your post? So stories is a really great way to just kind of keep people engaged and keep seeing your brand. And what works really well is using like the links. I don't know if people have done that before, but again, in your post, if you're using a call to action, so think of an example. So yeah, you want in a volunteer, for example. So what you could do is you can share your post to stories. And again, that's just like another opportunity for someone to see that post. And you've already posted it, so you've already spent that time. You can click add to story, and then maybe, just add some text of something, like, do you want to become our next volunteer, or something about volunteers being the heart of Home Start, we can't do it without you, something nice. And you can add a link. So you just use the little post-it and click link, and then you could add that link. So you can put something like apply now and then have the link. That works really well to just, again, it's like keeping people engaged with your brand. What I would say on stories is quite nice to show just a bit more about who you are and kind of behind the scenes and things like that. Like if you think about people that you follow, like what do you like to see on stories? And usually it's like that, again, what we've spoken about before, really, just that human element. If you're like, even if you're just like, oh, we've got to work today, like we're doing, we've got a craft class at 10, or, I don't know, whatever you've got going on, and just saying like a little bit about what is happening today, hope you have a good day, and just kind of having that, just a bit more of engagement, showing that human element. That is, I think it was Sue who said it, that's what people want to see, and that's what, people buy into people, don't they? And I think it's just showing that you're like a human being behind the account. I think it can be quite difficult when you're posting, I guess, because you're all posting on behalf of like your Home Start, and on behalf of like, your group of staff members, I guess. But it's nice to show those people, like, who are your staff? Who is there? Like, if I was to come to your Home Start, imagine I'm a really anxious mom and I'm finding, I want support. I'm having a look around and finding support, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I saw Karen on stories, like she was friendly, like, it just helps people to know more about you and who you are. So if you do feel comfortable like being on camera, I think that's just a really good way to interact with people and just to show that you're a human being behind the account. And you can be sharing stuff that's happening in the local area as well. That's really good to just kind of be tagging people, if you're sharing anything I don't know, say there's an event at your local library that's for mums, say, you know, find that and share that and tag them. And again, it's just another way for people to know who you are, what you do, what you're about. And sharing other people's stuff just kind of gives that more community feel that, you know, we're all in this together, we're all helping people, you know, and you never know, whoever you're kind of tagging and sharing, that might just help. You know, they might want to work with you, and they might, you know, reply to the story. I mean, even if they're just like, oh, thanks for sharing, you know, and you just even just building that little bit of something that next time you're like, oh, the library have, like, you know, been engaging a little bit because we've been sharing their stuff, they might want to do something with us. So yeah, again, it's just building on what you do. I think stories is just kind of, I don't know, the next level of your posting kind of thing. It just elevates what you're doing, it just sends your message out further. Yeah, and you can get the analytics for those as well. Again, I mean, don't get sort of bogged down in it, but they do get shown to like non-followers as well. So remember that you know, someone might be seeing your stories who doesn't follow you. So I mean, what people tend to do if they're doing a talking story, for example, and if they're filming themselves saying, oh, you know, I've got to work, la la la, just sort of name where you are, you know, just in case there's people on there who don't follow you. So you're like, oh hi, I'm here at Homestart, you know, insert name, like today we're doing blah blah blah, you know, things like that. It just gives like a little bit of an insight into kind of what is it that you do, and just like, you know, the different events and things that is happening at your Homestart, or the training that you're doing, the volunteer training, all that kind of stuff just really paints a picture. And I guess if you don't want to film yourself, which I know not everyone does, and that's absolutely fine, but you could do stories that just like I've seen them from few people just sort of saying like what we're up to today or something like that, and you just put like a little list with, like, you know, emojis as like the bullet points or whatever, to just be like, this is what we've got on today. And then maybe the next story can be, you know, if you want to find out more, you know, and then pop a link. Or on a Monday, for example, you could kind of do an overview of what you've got going on that week. That's a good idea to kind of for a post as well. So you could either do a post and share it to your stories, or you could just do it on stories. Yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless, I guess. I think stories are really fun. I think they're just a good way of engaging with people. It's just that extra eyes on what you're doing. Oh, Sue.
I just wanted to say, I think that that's a really good insight, actually. And I've had to, because I do marketing professionally, I sort of try and make everything really slick and cool and corporate. You know, it's just innate. And actually, when the team posts their little mobile phones of cakes and messy kids, and it's really personal, they get so much more engagement, because you're absolutely right, Beth. I think in these channels, and particularly with what Homestart is, people really want to see the real things. I mean, I've tried to sort of do a social media calendar so that we all are reasonably coordinated. It doesn't matter, but you know, I would say I would post the corporate, you know, the slicker stuff, the official stuff, the event stuff. You know, 1 in 5 times it's reduced, and that then is interesting amongst the more personal things. But you're absolutely right. The least professional, and I use that with respect, the better, the more it's really about, and people love it.
Yeah, and I've seen such a shift over time. Like I remember at one point, Instagram was so kind of this aesthetic and people spending a lot of time, and some people are still doing that, and fair enough, but I just see a lot of more of that kind of rough and ready. I think really like COVID opened the door to that. Like we saw a lot of brands even putting out like national TV ads with like Zoom, you know, recordings and things like that, because I mean that was obviously all that we could do. But I think, I don't know, that's sort of come back, and people want to see authenticity. People want to know, like, you know, just more about like your brand. And yeah, I can go on your website and see like, you know, we support families, you know, blah blah blah, but it's kind of, what actually is that? Like, what does that support look like? Like if I was to come to your Homestart, like what am I actually getting? Like what is actually happening there? Who are the people behind? Like who would be greeting me? You know, things like that. I think yeah, that is really important, and it just really helps to tell that story of yeah, who you are, and yeah, people, yeah, I've said it, people by people at the end of the day, and I think yeah, that is just really, really important. Just gonna check the chat. Oh yeah, Sylvia used stories to advertise what's on locally, tagging local businesses and people seems to help with gaining new followers. Yeah, and increasing awareness locally. Yeah, and sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes, you know, it's just sharing someone else's post and tagging them. You know, it's like a 2-second job, you know, but it can just really help. Especially if, you know, if you tag them in your story and they share that story, then their followers are seeing it as well. So again, it's just that little bit of a ripple. And I think, yeah, it just helps to build that community. Yeah, Sue, that's a great idea, and that's really helpful. We do share local events, but would usually do this as a post. So great idea. Yeah, great idea to share to stories. So again, if you're sharing it anyway, just share it to stories and just put a little bit about it, perhaps. Even if it's just like great, this is great event at the library or whatever. I keep using that example, but yeah, so yeah, stories can work really well for it's just extra eyes. I would see it as just extra eyes on your brand and what you're doing. And just get into a bit of a rhythm, like what feels good for you. And is there someone in your team who does feel confident to kind of film themselves and be like, oh, we're all set up here for, you know, our craft afternoon, here it is, that kind of thing. Just see if there's anyone in your team who'd be willing to do that. But if not, can you just take a picture and show, you know, oh, we're all set up for our craft afternoon. It doesn't have to be you talking to camera. But if you do try to share that human element, like Sue said, people really tend to resonate with that. I'm going to use we've just got 8 minutes left. If you have been before, you'll know we set these up as like a January to March thing, just to see how it went. You know, we weren't sure if anyone was going to turn up, we weren't sure what kind of engagement we're going to get. So thank you anyway, as a starter, for coming. But I just want to use this last few minutes to just discuss what you'd like going forward. So like I say, we put these in as 3 sessions, but that wasn't to say that it wasn't going to continue. You know, people have been turning up and showing up and contributing. So I'm kind of happy to continue it if people find it useful. Or do you think the frequency, you know, would you want it then to go to every quarter? Or would you rather have kind of more, I guess, like training? Would you rather be like shown things? Because I know we wanted this to just be, you know, like an open forum, but would it be helpful to be shown training or training videos separate and not have like a set time? Like it's kind of over to you really, and what you think would be helpful. Like, is it helpful to have like a set time that you take this time out of your day? But I'm also aware that is your time, it's taking up your time. So yeah, any ideas, anything that you think will be helpful going forward, because this is technically the last one, but like I say, if there's appetite for it to continue, I'm more than happy to continue, but it could be that you want it in a different guise. Yeah, over to you really, and any information, any insight you've got, it'd be really helpful to just know what is helpful and where can we take it. Sue.
I feel I've been a bit chopsy this morning. I always find, I can only really speak for myself, is that it's really useful to hear everyone out there and not feel so alone because as I say, I work full time. I'm sure a lot of people on this call do, and a lot of the trustees don't. So marketing is quite an important role for what we do. So I really love the idea of being able to share. I think that an hour is a lot to give up when you're working. But I do think it would be useful for little bite-sized things to check in on, you know, how platforms are working, little tips on making better videos or quick posts, or you know, the things you've shared on stories this morning has been really useful. I felt that. Now I've, you know, that endorsement's really good. What other people are doing, you know, little short bursts, if it may be even 15 minutes. I don't know if that's, you know, by the time everyone's got on and got off, maybe that's not possible, but just checking in for a shorter amount of time for maybe a specific reason. So today it's stories, or today it's how to make better videos, or here's an issue, sort of a quick in and out. I think probably the attendance would be better. And also we know what we're expecting. I've run out of impetus now. I've lost my confidence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Thank you, Sue. Honestly, any insight, because like I say, we just started these as like I wanted to offer something to be helpful, and I want it to be helpful. We kind of put something out there, and it might not be the best way.
No, I think it's really helpful. I just think it's probably a lot to invest.
Yes,
I've had to keep going off because I keep getting calls on work. So, I've that's rude, and I don't mean to be, but I've got no other choice at the moment.
Thank you, Sue. That's really helpful. I'll just read out some bits from the chat. Emma, I've attended 2 of these forums and they have been extremely insightful. Thank you. Helpful to have a scheduled time to attend to be able to block out the diary. Layla, I find these really useful, so would love for these to continue, although could be less than monthly depending on what others think. Training videos would also be really useful. Sylvia, this is a newbie point of view, but I personally find it very useful, and having a set up time forces me to make time in the day. I agree with the above. Also, there was some chat at the last Northern Ireland managers meeting about some Northern Ireland specific training. Would this be possible? Yeah, Karen, I did I did a social media forum. I'm not sure if you were there, sorry, I don't know. Did you attend that? I did another one
No,
of these.
possibly not. But this was really recent. So unless they've forgotten or they're looking something else, I think it was like last week. The other ladies were talking about having
Oh, okay.
some direct contact with you to talk about now.
Oh,
I'm not sure
okay.
what they're looking for. Would you like me to feed back that
Yeah,
maybe they
that'd
can
be
give you a little bit more guidance? That might be more helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be really helpful. I think it was last month. It must have been last month that I did one of these specifically for Northern Ireland after like a visit that had happened, I think. I don't really know the ins and outs of how it
Yeah,
came about,
yeah,
but
but there was more talk about it recently, and as I said,
okay.
I thought it had already happened, but I will go back. Thank you. Sorry for taking up
Okay.
your time with the rest of the
Oh,
folks.
no, it's absolutely fine. Just having a look. I'd appreciate a basic guide to interpreting the stats. Oh, okay, yeah, Mary, that has come up before on Facebook Business Suite. Love the idea of mini tutorials with set topics. Find them really helpful. I think theme topics would be a great idea. This session's really helpful. They've been really great. Great. Okay. Short training videos, etc. Yes. So that's what I was thinking of, because that was what kind of kept coming up, and so it's good to kind of get that feedback to know that it's something that is wanted. Yes, I would like to do some short training videos that you can just access probably on the Learning Zone, just in your own time. I think that would be helpful for people. It'd be like just a simple, I'll share my screen, I'll show you how it works. 3 minutes, if that, just trying to keep it really short and snappy. Another thing that came up last time was around training of using AI. So I think it's come out now. We have an AI policy, and then I wanted to work with IT to have just some guidance on kind of best ways to use it. I think because with that, it's all about the prompts that you put in, and so people are like, well, what do I put in? So even if it's just a kind of here's some prompts to use, that could be helpful. And I also spoke about like a social media guide in the sense of kind of what makes a good post and what can I be posting, and some example posts, because again, I think I'm trying to think of things to just help you with the time that you have. So even if it's just here's what a volunteered post could look like, and even if you copy and paste that, anything to kind of just make it easier. And I'm also looking at doing some Canva templates. So again, just to save you a bit of time, I know we have Brand Stencil, but I'm sort of getting the vibe that it's not always super easy to use, and like if you change your address, then you kind of have to go through us and Brand Stencil to change that, etc. And it just feels like they're obviously quite restrictive in what you can have, and we don't have any social media templates on there. So I think having it on Canva where you can like drop your own logo in and possibly just change like a little bit of the text or pop your own image in, I think that could just be really useful, because I know that I'm creating the ones that kind of don't have imagery on. They tend to, you know, be some kind of graphic when it's an awareness day, for example. But I'm aware then obviously you're not putting your own images in, and people, you know, sometimes want to do that, which I totally understand. So yeah, that is my big to-do list. A reminder that I am just one person in my team. So do bear with me. I will get round to those, and I wonder then if it's more about the training being kind of videos that you can watch at any time, but then maybe these could become quarterly, perhaps, as like a check-in, and then it is just an hour of your time every quarter. If that feels good to people. What I could do, I think, because there was, I think, about 29 people who registered for this one, but obviously they've not all come. I think maybe that's another one for like a discussion on at home, just so that everyone's kind of had the opportunity to feedback. I think that would be really good to just open it up and to just see, do we think maybe quarterly for these, as like it's good to check in and just kind of you know, people sharing. I think that's really helpful. That's what people have fed back, that has been helpful. But then with some training videos as extra. Great. Okay, we are 1 minute over time. Sorry. I will let you go. Thank you for all your lovely comments in the chat, and have a great day. Take care, everyone. See you. Sun is like